Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. So in this session, we are going to be covering how to build enterprise-grade applications with agents in Snowflake. 2025 has been widely recognized as the year of the agents, and the AI world is moving pretty fast, right? And we're committed to continuing to incorporate all the latest cutting-edge agentic capabilities into Cortex AI. All right, so let's dive in. My name is Will Uppington. I work in the product team here at Snowflake. I'm the former CEO of Trurera, which was a company that was building AI and ML observability technology that was acquired by Snowflake last year. And I've been working in AI ML for about 15 years. And I'm joined here by the great Harshal, who leads several AI initiatives here at Snowflake, including everything we're doing with agents. So today, we're going to cover how application architecture is evolving with agentic innovations. We're going to show you how Snowflake is going to enable you to build high-quality, trusted agents quickly and efficiently. Then Harshal's going to jump in and do a deeper dive on all the different components of our agentic solution. We'll close out with what's coming around the corner, including multi-agent architectures and MCP. So we believe agentic technology represents a new era in application development. If you look at the past few decades, we've evolved from monolithic to microservices-based approaches for application development. However, microservices has brought a lot of benefits, but it still has a number of shortcomings. So it requires explicit rules and logic. That means any functionality update or bug fixing requires explicit frequent code changes. The API contracts can be extensive and rigid, and the functionality of the app is just restricted by the UI that you provide to the customers. They can't do anything more or anything less. And any interaction with the app needs to be pre-programmed. So things like error handling, right, it's all based on pre-programmed responses. All of this translates to higher effort and functionality limitations. Agentic development addresses these in a number of challenges in a number of ways. So instead of explicit logic, agents can reason and solve problems dynamically. Instead of rigid API contracts and restrictive UIs, agents allow for natural language and more flexible interfaces, semantic APIs, and dynamic tool use. Instead of pre-programmed responses, agents enable adaptive responses. So let's talk a little bit more about some of the advantages of AI agentic capabilities and the benefits those can bring. We believe that agents are great for building apps for a number of reasons. One is the application logic itself can now be built with natural language prompts that can encode even very complex interactions. And doing this through a natural language means that it dramatically lowers the barrier to development. And in some cases, even non-technical employees can develop these kind of applications. And of course, we just talked about natural language can also be used as the interface. With tool use, agents can now dynamically bring in new capabilities to solve problems that you might not have even been explicitly designed for. Think about capturing web search results, information that is always updating every second, and now bringing that in dynamically to solve a problem. And the advanced reasoning of the models powering these agentic applications allows developers to address long tails of use cases that previously may not have been worth it, given that everything had to be done explicitly. So net is that agents can build much more capable apps, much lower cost, much less effort, and lower technical skills. So I want to talk a little bit about how Snowflake can help you build these agentic applications. So we believe that the key to winning this agentic phase of application development will be based on how easy and how fast it will be to build high-quality, governed agentic applications. And we're excited to help you all do this by providing true end-to-end agentic development capabilities. The starting point for this capabilities is, of course, providing you with the latest and greatest and full spectrum of models that are out there. New models are being developed every month, it seems, and we're committed to getting you all of those models. And in fact, we are the only place today where within the same governance framework, you can access both Anthropic and OpenAI models. And reminder, there's no infrastructure for you to manage here. All the data stays within Snowflake. The second key capability is governance. So as I just mentioned, all the data is contained within the Snowflake secure perimeter, both structured and unstructured data, and you can use granular RBAC to manage access to this via extensive permissioning. The next piece is bringing the data in. Hopefully you've seen our announcement about OpenFlow. Super excited about making that easy to bring the data in, or help you move that data to where it needs to be. So then we can allow you to do data processing. So for structured data, this is our bread and butter, our state-of-the-art SQL engine, incredibly powerful. On the unstructured data side, you have full capabilities to do the pre-processing you need to do in order to get it into a vector store, for example. And now with our AI SQL announcement, there's a whole new set of amazing capabilities we do for pre-processing. Once you do that pre-processing, you're ready for retrieval. So our agentic retrieval agent consists of two capabilities: Analyst for retrieving structured data, and Cortex Search for retrieving unstructured data. And this is where we have some more special sauce that Harshal's going to talk about. The fifth capability is now agents. So it allows you to dynamically retrieve this data from Analyst and Search and perform planning, orchestration, tool use, and reflection in order to give you the best response. We also provide AI observability to enable you to perform evaluations during development and then monitoring post-production. And finally, we have the UI layer. We allow you to integrate with the UI of choice. We allow you to build custom UIs with Streamlit. And now with Snowflake Intelligence, we have an out-of-the-box, incredibly powerful UI using the latest reasoning models that truly means you can get these things up and run incredibly fast. And the great thing about these capabilities is not only are they end-to-end and super fast from a development perspective, but they're also modular. So if you want to move out different pieces, you're not committed to just a monolithic end-to-end development environment. OK, I'm going to hand it over to Harshal now to talk about, dive deeper into the architecture.
Thanks, Will. Hey, everyone. Hey, thanks, Will, for the background. So I wanted to go through a quick demo. Before I jump in, I just wanted to share how we build this agent and what it does. So this is a simple sales agent that can be used to analyze sales data and provide insights. And with this, what we have done is set up some instructions, like on how it should respond, the kind of tone it should maintain when engaging with the end users. Also, we have provided a few tools, Cortex Analyst and Cortex Search for sure, but also custom tools that we're going to talk about just in a bit. In terms of orchestration, we've used Claude 3.5, and we fire off our first query. So we say something like, show me the top 3 customers by revenue in a certain region. And you'll see it does the planning, executes the SQL, and provides the answer. And as it does so, it goes through some reflecting on the results that it received. And what's interesting to note over here, let me pause just for a second. What's interesting to note over here is it reflects that I asked for top three customers, but that specific region had just 2 customers. So it kind of reflects on that and says, hey, the query contained 3 customers, or a query asked for 3 customers, but I just could retrieve 2. So let me present these 2. But just like any diligent worker, it is upfront about what it finds and then shares that piece of information. So so it just went through planning, execution of the tool, and then reflecting on the results and finally providing the results. In this case, the results happen to be the top 2 customers are $6.9 and $4.9 million in revenue. So that's the first part. Now, as you go along, you'll notice we also have the thinking steps. So you, as an end user, can go through these steps, look at how it came up with the response. It just generates more confidence in the final results. Let's try another one. So we'll dial it up a notch this time. And I'm going to ask, summarize the contract for the largest distributor. So if you carefully look at this query, it's really a 2-part query. First, you have to figure out who is the largest distributor, and then you have to summarize the contract terms for this distributor. So as usual, it goes through the planning steps, identifies the tools, and provides the response. I'll pause again here for a second. And if you notice, what it did on this particular one is it first figured out that Megamart was the largest distributor. It went back and forth a little bit to figure out was it Megamart or another customer, but figured out that it was Megamart, pulled up the contract terms for it, and then as a next step, summarized these for the end user. So just showcases how you can do multi-step reasoning in case of agents. So let's continue again now. This time around, I want to show one other piece. Of course, there's always going to be these thinking steps that are shown to the end user, but we're also bringing traces for easy debugging for developers. So you as a builder can go in, look at each step that the agent executed, figure out what tools were used, what prompt was used, how it was filled out, and then the specific attributes for the tools. There's request IDs, but then there's also the reasoning steps, right? So all of this is available inside of Snowsight under the Cortex agents. So what you see here is the populated prompt, and we show how each of the reasoning steps happen. OK, so let's go to the third query now. This time I'm going to ask, what are the differences between the premium and the economy product lines? Similar to the previous query, it has to break this up into two parts, figure out what are the features for these two product lines, what are the different attributes for these two different product lines, and then summarize the results, right? So you'll see it do that in the thinking steps, what I'm sharing on the screen, where it figured out that the product features, the distribution agreements, the target markets are some of the attributes that it should compare the two product lines on, and then it finally gave the completed result, right? So that's how we've been building these Cortex agents, and these are available as Will mentioned. These can be integrated via REST APIs into a surface of your choice. It could be the end user interface, like on the website, or it could be an application of your choice. All right, so let's continue. What I want to do next is talk about the architecture just really quick. So what you just saw as part of the demo can be covered with this architecture. We have roughly 5 components over here. First is the orchestration. And we saw some of the multi-step reasoning, the query decomposition in action over here. In some cases, you have to rewrite the queries. So that's the orchestration engine. The second part is the tool use. And we saw Cortex Analyst and Cortex Search are two of the tools that can be used for structured and unstructured data. But we are also bringing to you charts, so you can visualize the results. Also, we are bringing web search, so that you can augment your enterprise data with up-to-date internet data, for example, right? So those are the 2 components, orchestration and tool use. The third one I would say is reflection. And we saw a couple of instances today where the reflection was in action. For the first query, where it noted that it's just 2 customers and not 3 customers, and then again with the comparison query, very useful for your error correction and synthesizing the results. And then finally, you have the memory component. We'll talk about it we'll double-click on it just in a bit. But short-term memory gives you the context management that agents need to execute or to compose the responses. And the long-term memory as well, where your interactions, for the interactions that may continue or numerous days, right? And finally, you have the monitoring component or the monitoring module, which is useful to iterate and refine and improve your agent over a period of time. So with that, I want to talk about what's new with Cortex agents. This has been in preview. We are now going to be GA soon. And as we progress towards GA, what we are bringing is multi-step orchestration, the query decomposition that I talked about, but also citations. On tool use, we have a couple of new tools, the chart for visualization, as well as custom tools. And then I'm going to show that just in a bit. We talked about reflection. On memory, we have thread management. So you can create a thread and use it as part of an agent. And on the monitoring side, we have the ability to accept explicit feedback. So you can provide a thumbs up and a thumbs down as the interaction with the end user proceeds, right? So on orchestration, I've touched on it a couple of times, but I'll say this about citations. These are references to information, whether it's from structured data or unstructured data. We have seen this increases the confidence in the response. So orchestration comes with citations, with query decomposition. On tool use, we have custom tools now. So you can create your own UDF function and probably even hook it up with an external access API to an API endpoint of your choice. So that's UDF. That is the custom tools. The one that you see on the screen is fairly generic, but you could set up your own. The one that you see here is specification says get weather with properties of location. And the location, you can specify the required properties. So I've said that location is a required property. And then the tool resources carry the warehouse and the UDF function name, the one that gets executed when you run this function. On the internal tools, like I mentioned, we have charts so that you can actually run, or you can actually visualize the results. So for example, you have a query which says, show me the revenue for the last 1 year, and it can do a quick line graph. So what we surface is a specification format, and then you render it on the client side. And finally, we have the web search tool, so you can augment your enterprise data with this, right? So on reflection, we talked about it. Super important when it comes to synthesizing the results or just reflecting to make sure that you have the complete answer before proceeding. And on memory, we have thread management. So you can create a separate thread ID, and you can use this thread ID in your agent. This is where all the conversation history gets stored, and and we have Cradle API, so you can update these sessions or these threads, as we call them. You can view or pull the information and show it to the user. That's the thread management piece, and the same data is reflected also in your event tables. So you have two sources now, a choice of event tables or threads to pull up the conversation history. One other piece I'll mention about threads or thread management is we made a deliberate design choice of decoupling the thread IDs from the agent IDs. And what this allows you to do is you can now hydrate the conversation. You can pre-populate the conversation with user-specific information. And by doing so, you have personalized it for a specific set of users or even for a specific user. Once we move to multi-agentic, this will be handy as well, because you'd be able to take the same thread and hand it over to the next agent for continued interaction. So context and flexibility is what we provide through the memory management piece. And finally, on the monitoring, we are bringing the explicit thumbs up, thumbs down, which is an explicit form of feedback, so that you can continuously refine and improve your agent. So there's quite a bit I covered. All of this will be available to you for review. And like I said, a lot of things coming, and this should be available in GA pretty soon. So with that, I want to, maybe in the last minute or so, I want to talk about where do we go from here. We believe the future is multi-agentic, and there's not going to be a single agent that's going to be sufficient for your use cases. And with that in mind, we have created a platform that rapidly incorporates all of these innovations coming out, whether it's multi-agentic scenarios or the communication required, like MCP or agent-to-agent required to support this. What we are progressing towards is a multi-agentic world where you have a primary agent that interacts with numerous purpose-built agents. And sure, your data lives on Snowflake. You could have your data in other places too. And you'd need a primary agent talking to all of these data sources as you build applications, as you build agentic applications. And like I mentioned, we have MCP coming soon on Cortex. But then we also plan to support agent-to-agent or any other emerging protocols.